Iran made a decision that no country had ever attempted before. They challenged every Gulf nation simultaneously: UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait, all of them. At the same time, it was the biggest mistake they ever made, because what came back was not one nation's response. It was everyone's. Here's exactly what happened. Arabian Gulf. The tension had been building for 18 months. Iran had been pushing boundaries systematically. Small provocations, each one testing the response. Each one measuring how far they could go before someone pushed back. Seizing commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. Threatening oil tankers flagged to Gulf nations. Deploying underwater drones near UAE offshore platforms. Flying armed drones over Saudi territorial waters. Jamming GPS signals affecting Qatari civilian aviation. Each incident alone was manageable. Together, they formed a pattern. A deliberate escalation campaign designed to establish Iranian dominance over the Arabian Gulf, to make every Gulf nation feel vulnerable. To demonstrate that American security guarantees were not enough. The Gulf Cooperation Council had been meeting quietly for 6 months, building a response that Iran did not see coming. Because Iran made one critical miscalculation. They assumed the Gulf nations would respond individually. They did not respond individually. Let us talk about what Iran actually did to trigger the unified response. Because understanding the provocation is how you understand the magnitude of what came back. On a single Tuesday morning, Iran executed 5 simultaneous actions across the Gulf region. Action 1. 3 Iranian fast attack boats from Bandar Abbas surrounded a UAE-flagged oil tanker in international waters 30 miles east of Abu Dhabi. Armed boarding party attempted to seize the vessel. The tanker crew activated their emergency beacon. Action 2. Iranian electronic warfare systems based on Qeshm Island activated simultaneously, jamming GPS signals across a 200-mile radius, affecting civilian aviation over UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain simultaneously. 17 commercial flights diverted. Dubai International Airport temporarily suspended arrivals. Action 3. An Iranian Shade 136 drone was detected crossing into Saudi territorial airspace over the empty quarter, armed, heading toward the Abqaiq oil processing facility. The same facility attacked in 2019. Action 4. Iranian naval vessels blocked the northern entrance to the Strait of Hormuz for 47 minutes, stopping all southbound commercial traffic. 14 vessels held outside the strait, including 3 LNG carriers headed for Qatar's customers in Asia. Action 5. Iranian state media simultaneously broadcast a statement from the IRGC Navy commander. The Arabian Gulf is an Iranian lake. All navigation is subject to Iranian approval. Foreign military presence will no longer be tolerated. 5 actions, 5 nations directly threatened, all within a 90-minute window. Iran expected chaos. They got coordination. The GCC Emergency Response Protocol had been developed quietly over the previous 2 years, funded jointly, exercised secretly, commanded from a joint operations center at Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar, where 10,000 American personnel and the CENTCOM forward headquarters were already present. When the 5 simultaneous Iranian actions were detected, the protocol activated automatically. Not after a phone call between leaders. Not after a diplomatic consultation. Automatically, because the trigger conditions had been pre-agreed. 3 or more simultaneous hostile Iranian actions against GC member states. Iran had given them 5. Response Element 1 activated at 0847 hours. UAE Navy fast patrol vessels from the Abu Dhabi Marine Operating Company escort fleet were already 12 miles from the tanker being surrounded. Not by coincidence. The UAE had been quietly shadowing their flagged commercial vessels with armed escorts for 4 months. Iran did not know. The UAE patrol vessels closed at 38 knots. Bridge-to-bridge radio contact with the Iranian boarding party. You are in international waters conducting illegal interdiction of a civilian vessel. Withdraw immediately. The Iranian boats did not withdraw immediately. The UAE patrol vessel fired warning shots across the bow of the lead Iranian fast attack boat. 3 rounds from the 30mm cannon. The Iranian boats withdrew. The tanker continued to its destination. Elapsed time from activation to resolution: 14 minutes. Response Element 2 activated at 0851 hours. Saudi Arabia's electronic warfare aircraft already airborne over the empty quarter. RC-135 equivalent. Locating and classifying the Iranian jamming source on Qeshm Island. The jamming was not countered with counterjamming. It was countered with something Iran did not expect. The GCC had quietly deployed a GPS augmentation network across the Gulf region over the previous 18 months. Ground-based transmitters in UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Saudi Arabia, providing backup GPS signal independent of the American satellite constellation, independent of Iranian jamming capability. When Iran activated their jammers, the GCC augmentation network activated simultaneously. Commercial aviation over the Gulf never lost GPS signal. The 17 diverted flights were recalled within 6 minutes. Dubai International resumed arrivals. Iran spent 43 minutes jamming a network that had already been bypassed. They did not know until their own intelligence assets reported that Gulf aviation was operating normally. Response Element 3 was the most significant. The Shait-136 drone heading toward Abqaiq. The Saudi Arabia that Iran was threatening in 2024 was not the Saudi Arabia of 2019. In 2019, the Abqaiq attack succeeded because Saudi air defense coverage had gaps that Iranian planners had identified and exploited. In the 5 years since Saudi Arabia had spent $22 billion eliminating every gap. Patriot PAC-3 MSE batteries, THAAD systems, Skyguard short-range defense, and the Skyhunter counter-drone network. A combination of radar-directed guns and missiles specifically designed to defeat slow-flying low-radar cross-section drones. The Shait-136 was detected at 147 kilometers from Abqaiq, classified in 4 seconds. Engaged by Skyhunter at 89 kilometers. Destroyed at 91 kilometers from the facility. The drone never had a chance. The 2019 attack succeeded because the defense was not ready. The 2024 attack failed because the defense had been rebuilt specifically to defeat it. Iran sent the same weapon against the same target, expecting the same result. The target had changed. Response Element 4 was coordinated internationally. When Iranian naval vessels blocked the northern Strait of Hormuz entrance at 0903 hours, 2 things happened simultaneously. First, USS Abraham, Lincoln Carrier Strike Group operating 180 miles south of Hormuz, received an immediate tasking order from CENTCOM. Move to Hormuz transit support position. Authorize freedom of navigation operations. The Lincoln turned north at 28 knots. Second, Qatar activated its LNG emergency protocol. Qatar is the world's largest LNG exporter. 14% of global LNG supply moves through the Strait of Hormuz. A 47-minute blockade is not an inconvenience. It is a global energy security event. The Qatari government made 4 phone calls in 6 minutes: Washington, London, Tokyo, Beijing. Every major LNG customer Qatar has received the same message. Iran is blocking the strait. Your supply is at risk. The international response was immediate. American diplomatic pressure. British naval assets in the Gulf moving to transit support positions. And most significantly, China, which imports 40% of its LNG through the Strait of Hormuz, called Iran directly. The message from Beijing was not diplomatic. It was economic. Open the strait or lose our support at the UN Security Council. Iran opened the strait at 0950 hours, 47 minutes, and they had the entire world against them. Response Element 5 was the one that changed everything. The IRGC Navy commander's statement claiming the Arabian Gulf as an Iranian lake. That statement required a response that was visible, undeniable, impossible to misinterpret. The GCC Joint Operations Center at Al Udeid authorized a combined air power demonstration at 1100 hours, not a strike, a demonstration. But a demonstration of such scale that Iran would understand exactly what a strike would look like. At 12:47 hours local time, the largest combined military air exercise ever conducted over the Arabian Gulf began. UAE contribution: 12 F-16 Block 60 Desert Falcons, the most advanced F-16 variant ever built, AN, APG-80A ESA radar, AGM-84 Harpoon anti-ship missiles loaded, JDAM precision-guided bombs loaded, electronic warfare pods active. Saudi contribution: 8 F-15SA Strike Eagles, the most capable F-15 variant in service anywhere, an APG-63V3A ESA radar, AIM-12 OD AMRAAM beyond visual range missiles, GBU-28 bunker buster bombs loaded, conformal fuel tanks giving range to reach any target in Iran. Qatar contribution: 6 F-15QA advanced fighters, newest variant delivered in 2021, capabilities identical to the F-15SA. Bahrain contribution: 4 F-16C Block 40 fighters providing combat air patrol cover. Kuwait contribution: 4 F-A-18C Hornets. American contribution: 6 F-22 Raptors from the 95th Fighter Squadron deployed to Al Dhafra Air Base, UAE, flying at the front of the formation, invisible to every Iranian radar system in the region. Total formation: 40 aircraft, 6 nations, flying in a coordinated combat spread over the Arabian Gulf at 0.9 Mach. The flight path took them directly along the Iranian territorial water boundary, inside international airspace, 12 miles from Iranian waters. The Iranian air defense network tracked everything it could track, 40 aircraft, except the 6. The IRGC Aerospace Force commander counted 34 aircraft on his radar. He knew there were 40 in the formation. He could not find 6 of them. He knew exactly which 6 he could not find. He scrambled 4 F-14s. The F-14 pilots flew toward the formation, found 34 aircraft, could not locate 6, turned back. That was the message. Not the 34 aircraft Iran could see. The 6 they could not. At 14:45 hours, the GC Secretary General held a press conference in Riyadh, flanked by the defense ministers of all 6 member states. The statement was 3 sentences. The Gulf Cooperation Council responds as one to any threat against any member state. What Iran attempted today was met with a unified response across all domains simultaneously. Any future provocation will be met with the same unity and the same capability. 3 sentences. No diplomatic language. No ambiguity. The Iranian Foreign Ministry issued a response 2 hours later, calling the GCC statement provocative. The IRGC Navy commander, who had declared the Arabian Gulf an Iranian lake that morning, did not issue a follow-up statement. Now let us talk about what actually changed in the Gulf that day. Because the 5 Iranian provocations and the 5 GCC responses are only part of the story. The deeper story is about what the Gulf nations built in the years before that Tuesday morning, and why Iran's intelligence completely failed to account for it. The UAE military transformation began after 2019. The Abqaiq attack was a wake-up call for every Gulf nation. If Iran could strike the world's most important oil processing facility with drones and cruise missiles and the most advanced air defense systems in the region could not stop it, then the entire Gulf defense architecture needed rebuilding. The UAE response was the most dramatic. They hired the best military consultants in the world. Former U.S. Air Force generals, former Israeli Air Force commanders, former British SAS advisors, and they spent money. Not billions, tens of billions. The F-16 Block 60 purchase, the most advanced F-16 ever built at the time, specifically designed for UAE requirements. with a radar and avionics package that UAE pilots had significant input in developing. The Patriot PAC-3 MSE purchase, the THAAD battery deployment, the counter-drone network, the electronic warfare augmentation, the command and control integration with GCC partners, all of it built in 5 years, all of it integrated, all of it tested, all of it ready. Saudi Arabia's transformation was equally significant. The 2019 Abqaiq attack had exposed the gaps in Saudi air defense. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman approved an emergency defense modernization program with essentially unlimited funding. The F-15SA fleet was upgraded to the latest avionics standard. New Patriot batteries were purchased and deployed. THAAD was requested and deployed. The Skyhunter counter-drone network was built from scratch, and most significantly, Saudi Arabia quietly integrated its air defense network with Israeli systems, not publicly, not officially, but technically. The Abraham Accords normalization process that included UAE and Bahrain opened back-channel military cooperation conversations between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Conversations that produced technical integration between Saudi radar networks and Israeli counter-drone technology. The same technology that had been defending Israeli cities against Hamas rockets and Hezbollah missiles for decades. Adapted for Saudi Arabia's specific threat environment. Iran did not know about this integration. When the Shahed 136 was destroyed at 89 kilometers from Abqaiq, the targeting data came partly from an Israeli-designed radar system operating inside Saudi Arabia. Iran sent a weapon designed to defeat Saudi air defense. It was defeated by a system they did not know existed. Qatar's contribution to the Gulf defense architecture is the one that gets the least attention. Because Qatar's most important military asset is not a weapon system, it is a zip code. Al Udeid Air Base, the largest American military installation in the Middle East. 10,000 American personnel, the CENTCOM Forward Headquarters, the Combined Air Operations Center that controls all American air operations across the entire Middle East region. Over 100 American aircraft, B-52 strategic bombers, F-15E Strike Eagles, F-22 Raptors, KC-135 tankers, E-3 AWACS, U-2 reconnaissance aircraft, all operating from Qatari soil. Iran threatening Qatar is Iran threatening the headquarters of American military operations in the entire region. Iran knows this, which makes the GPS jamming that affected Qatari airspace that Tuesday morning either a remarkable act of strategic blindness or a deliberate test. Either way, the response was immediate, and the message was clear. Qatar is not alone. Qatar has never been alone. The Bahrain contribution is equally significant in a different way. Bahrain is home to U.S. Naval Forces Central Command, the Fifth Fleet, the American naval headquarters for the entire Gulf region. Iranian fast attack boats threatening Gulf shipping are operating within 50 miles of the Fifth Fleet headquarters. The audacity is either remarkable courage or remarkable miscalculation. Based on the results of every Iranian naval confrontation with American forces since 1988, the answer is clear. The Gulf that Iran tried to claim as its own lake that Tuesday morning is not an Iranian lake. It has never been an Iranian lake. It is a body of water with 6 nations on its shores who have spent the last 5 years building a defense architecture specifically designed to respond to exactly what Iran attempted. And in the center of that body of water is the largest concentration of American naval power outside the Western Pacific. Iran looked at the Gulf and saw vulnerability. The Gulf nations looked back and had prepared a response for every scenario Iran could execute. The Strait of Hormuz opened at 0950 hours. The U.E. tanker arrived safely at its destination at 1830 hours. The Abqaiq facility processed its normal daily output without interruption. Dubai International Airport closed for 11 minutes. Opened again. The 40 aircraft formation returned to their bases at 1600 hours. The F-22s landed at Al Dhafra. The Iranian radar operators who had been staring at a formation of 40 aircraft and could only find 34 went home knowing they had 6 missing contacts they could not explain. That is what kept them awake that night. Not the 34 they could see. The 6 they could not. Iran challenged every Gulf nation. Every Gulf nation responded. Together. Immediately. Completely. And Iran's Arabian Gulf Lake announcement was quietly removed from IRGC social media accounts by midnight. Stay locked in.